Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, April the 10th, and it is time for the Spiritual Light. Good to have you all here with us. Just Charles and me today, and Silvia will join us as soon as possible. She's on the way. So hope you are good. Today's topic is what happens after we die. What happens after we die? This is an important topic because we know and we have spoken to many people. They are all afraid of dying. So let's talk about it as well. So bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Stevan. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Very happy to be here again, as all the Wednesdays, to talk a little bit about this spiritist body of knowledge and all this information. What happens after we die is quite interesting, isn't it? Because one thing we are 100% sure in this life that will happen one day is we will pass away and go back to the spiritual world. So I think it's just how to say worth a little bit to think about it.
Yeah, we need to die. Okay, let me show the screen here and let's watch the video. Wait a minute, because our late girl is about to join us. There we go. Hello. How are you, my dear?
Hello, I'm so sorry. I had a little problem with the computer, but it's fine now. The internet sometimes just goes down. But I'm here now. Nice to see you all. Hello, Charles. Hello, everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here with us. And, spring, light makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Spring, light, and raining.
And rain. Oh, yes. Yes, we did have a lot of rain. It's sunny, and then like 15 minutes later, it's pouring down rain. But April showers. Can't complain.
Yeah. Okay, plants so I was about to show the. You want to do the your introduction because we are about to show the video. Okay. Okay, that's the goal.
At the time of death, there is something called deathbed coincidences. In these, the dying person, at the moment of death, because we've got data to support that, goes and visits somebody to whom they're emotionally connected. They have to be emotionally connected. And they give them a message. And the message, the way they give the message, depends on how the person who's receiving the message are. If you're awake, then you tend to feel the person's presence. You feel something awful may have happened to them. You have to contact them to find out what's going on. They very seldom give a message then. But if you're asleep, then you get a narrative dream. You're told a story. You're visited by the dying people, and they will say, I'm okay. Please don't worry about me. It's all right. And then they leave. So these are very reassuring to the family and the relatives. And then at the time of death and just after death, there are a lot of things which happen. People see light in the room over the time that you're dying. Other people see things leaving the body. Other people experience the fact that their clocks may have stopped at the time of death. So there are lots of things that many of them are quite local. Animals are very common in the dying phase, and birds particularly. And we've got a lot of stories of birds that seem to be carrying people who the relatives feel carrying the spirit of the dying person. Some people in the stories we have associate this going process with a change in temperature in the room, and sometimes with a feeling that something has left. And then that seems to be the end of the dying process. So there are lots of exciting things.
Okay. Our dear Peter Finnegan. It's lovely. Wonderful researcher. Wonderful doctor. So, my friends, what happens after we die?
And a really nice friend. And a really nice friend too.
Yeah, good. Yeah, this is the 1 million questions. What happens after we die? And this perhaps it's a question that given us sometimes food for thought. Sometimes we want to avoid it at all. And we want to avoid it at all because we don't know what we're gonna find. And the unknown, it is scary. The unknown brings you to fear. So what are you gonna do? And how it say the third revelation, which is the books codified by Kardec, is telling us more about the spiritual life. So what was unknown now is, let's put this in brackets, known. That's so important for us to understand this position and to understand ourselves. And Charles, what's your first thoughts?
Yeah.
How is your viewpoint?
I mean, repeating what I just said, we have 100% probability that one day we will go to this travel, to this journey. So, okay, I would say very simple to start. When we die, we go back to the spiritual world. Okay, very simple, isn't it? It's again the spiritualistic point of view. Some people, a lot, inclusive, are saying when we die, everything is finished, there is nothing anymore. So it's either or. One is true, the other one is mistaken. Okay. So, but since we are doing this journey for sure, sooner or later, maybe rather later than sooner or whatever, depending on everyone. It's interesting to study a little bit. I mean, if you go, for instance, to travel to a country that you don't know, that you go for the first time, do you just go like this without thinking, or do you prepare yourself a little bit before, or do you seek for information about how it is, what you will need, what you will not need there, and so on? Obviously, we prepare a little bit ourselves before going. We may need a visa. There are some procedures, some that we have to follow. Sometimes we cannot even embark in the plane. We cannot board on the plane when we don't have all the documentation which is needed. So for the spiritual world, it's a little bit the same. I mean, those who do not believe that they have a soul, and they do not believe that the soul is surviving after the death. The soul is basically not dying, that the death is just the separation from the soul, which gets free from the physical body. This is another thing we are sure. The physical body stays here on the earth, including all the material belongings, money, house, car, whatever. All this stays here. Whether we go to the void or whether we go to the spiritual world, this for sure we will live here. And the people who are inheriting our succession, basically, they will do whatever they want with all this, because we are not here anymore to, maybe we have left some instructions or some legal obligation or whatever, but basically they do what they want with it sooner or later. So what's important is exactly to think about, okay, what do we really take with us? And Allan Kardec has treated this subject quite extensively, because it's half of a book dedicated only to this question, which is the heaven and hell. Second part of heaven and hell is dedicated to answer to this question we are treating today. What happens after we die? He has put first a general section saying, okay, this is what happens when we die. What is driving the fact that we are in a good or a less good situation after we died? And later in the book, you have a lot of examples, communications given by spirits who are happy, who are not happy, who committed suicide, who were materialistic, the other one who were beggars and whatever. And then they say, they tell us what happened with them during this after they died. Okay, so it's exactly the subject of today that we could develop, I think, with all the cases that are existing during quite some time. And today, even in complement to what Kardec has already written 160 years ago, we have also NDE, near-death experience, which are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people saying what happened with them during that moment. And that is somehow very linked and quite consistent with what Kardec said. There are also some other sources of information. The Brazilian literature of André Luiz, like No Solar, which is very well known, and the movie No Solar. It gives also an idea of what happens after we die, with the particular example of André Luiz. And it's quite interesting to look at it, because that movie is explaining, showing that he was not in a good situation after he died, also making us to understand why he was in that situation after he died. And that this situation is not mandatory. It depends only on us what we do in this life, what we do before we die. Because to summarize, we could say, the more we are bound to the earthly goods, the more difficult will be the passage after we die, because, and the people who are materialistic, who do not believe they have a soul, imagine, they come to a situation where they think they died and they did not die. So they are convinced they do not die because they are still alive. So imagine the confusion they are passing, and the work we have in order to clarify the situation, to help them in clarifying the situation. So just a short introduction to the subject.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. My dear Silvia, why we need to, first of all, I already said, the unknown keep us away from talk more about what happens after die, but what calls people attention to it?
What
Why?
calls,
Since we are afraid, this is talking a lot, everybody's want to talk about it.
I feel that I think Charles said it was a short introduction, but he was extremely informative in what he said, so it was very profound. I think one of the problems about dying and death is that for one reason or another, in the last few centuries, the fortitude of the church in the way they modified all the teachings of Jesus and everything, and created an idea of eternal punishment, of no redemption, that once you condemn, then it's such a really irrelevant things almost can send you to eternal damnation. And I think that's why we have in our psyche now a kind of fear of death. But if you read and if you go to ancient history, and the ancient peoples, none of them are afraid of death. They saw death as a natural process of life. And you can't think about death and the afterlife without thinking of the Egyptians. And somebody made a comment once about the Egyptian Book of the Dead and said, the Egyptians, they lived to die. And that was a very interesting thing, because their whole life was a preparation for when they died. And it's very interesting how they really knew also how to enjoy life. They actually invented beer of anything. So they had festivals and they really enjoyed life. But the whole process of life was that death was coming, and that was better. And even in the very early culture in Egypt, they had the tomb. They didn't have the tombs then, but they had the mastabas, what they call, it's like a hole in the ground kind of thing. And they always put everything they owned in there, in the tomb with them, because they thought real life was after you died from the physical body, after you left the physical body. And they had the idea, like we know in Spiritism, that we have a spirit and that we have a spiritual body. And they defined it as the ka and the ba. The ba was the spirit, and the ka was what we in Spiritism call the perispiritus, the astral body, like the Hindus call them. And it's very interesting because they saw it as a natural process. And I think we saw changing when the fear came, when it was used the fear was used to control people, that they had to follow this and they had to do that, and according to what the church demanded them. Otherwise you would be excommunicated, or you would be, in eternal damnation. And I think that's why comes the fear of death, because, I think Charles was talking about the fact that sometimes we don't, there are people who don't believe they have a soul. They are going, if they'll die and everything is finished, it's over. And I particularly know one person who really believes that. But the interesting thing is, even those people, they have somehow the intuition, the knowledge, because as a spirit, whether they believe that they have a soul or not, they are spirits. And they have been to the process of dying and leaving, the reincarnation process in many lifetimes. So within them, they have the intuition of that knowledge is within them. And we know, Charles also mentioned the books of André Luiz, that when people have come to this very firm belief that they die and ends, everything finishes, they go to a place where they sleep. They sleep, but they keep remembering the life they had, and especially all the things they've done wrong. So in a way, that kind of sleep, it's almost like a torture. And it's sometimes the idea of hell, I think
Nightmare.
comes from that, isn't it?
Mm.
Because they keep remembering all the wrong things they've done.
Oh yes, all the time.
So I think in a way that we know that also in the spiritual world there are different things, and I think just one thing to understand also is that we go where our mind is, our feelings are, what we've done. So it's not the same world for everyone. If we
Yeah.
live a life of difficulty, then we'll go to be with the people that we harmed and the people who hate us. But if and I think the thing as well that Dr. Peter Fenwick was saying before, how because there is a thing, isn't it? We have the process of dying itself, death and discarnation, and the life after. And this is all all stages, isn't it? So we have people who come to see us, like when we are born, we have a lot of spiritual friends, our friends from the spiritual world who like us, who love us. They come with us. When we are born, many of them will come to be with us as we are born into the world, and they are waiting for us as well, and not only in people who we had in our lives, maybe our parents, our brothers and sisters, friends we made that have gone into the spiritual world before we did. They come to receive us at the airport. So there is no need to fear at all. I think that is a process of natural process of life. And I think the point Charles made, the point as well, that is the only truly fatality, isn't it? Because we are all going to the richest, the most billionaire. Probably for them it will be a lot harder because I have nothing to leave behind, so it will be easier to go. But if you have a lot of things, and everybody dies, so this fight for power and everything is so irrelevant. It's such a waste of time, because that is just a process. So
Process of dying. This is so important. We don't used to talk, and at the same time, like we in the book Nosolar, the book Nosolar, we are here afraid of die, and then are afraid of reincarnate. I
yes,
believe
they're more
I
afraid.
believe afraid of reincarnation is more dangerous than afraid of dying. You know what I mean? So if
Yes,
I
it's
have to pick one,
yeah.
I
Yes, and so much so. I mean, what you're saying it's such a truth that sometimes the spirits they give up. That's why we have a lot of premature deaths and death of children in womb and everything. Is that sometimes the spirit gets scared and they withdraw from the body.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And what do we what someone needs to do? Like, I am not a spiritist. I don't know anything about Kardec. I'm just following you guys because I like the conversation. What they need to do in order to, first of all, lose the fear. Second, get prepared to it. As Charlie said, I guarantee you will die. I just cannot tell you when. but you will. I will. So what to do in order to start to accept the idea and live with it in peace instead of that thing knocking our head all the time. So, Charlie, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, well, we gave you the references, huh? So one
Do
easy
you
solution
want
is
to say
just give a quick look to Kardec.
something,
Huh?
Charles?
Sorry,
Everybody's frozen.
can you hear me?
I
Hello, hello. Can you hear me, Stevan?
I can hear you, Charles. I can hear you,
is that before?
but
Okay.
my internet is bad as well. It's popping up all the time.
Stevan,
Mhm. Can you hear me, my dear?
Yes.
yes, I can hear you now, but I couldn't hear any of you before. I think that
Okay,
my
sorry
internet
for that.
today is a bit funny.
So, the first hint is give a quick look to Kardec, and you will have a rather good idea. And if you want, just chat with us, call some friend which is spiritist and can explain you a little bit better. Then, even if you don't even want to read, basically, what we take with us again is nothing material. All what is material is here. So money, car, house, whatever, yacht stays here. Okay.
Mhm.
What we take with us is memory, is knowledge, and is also goodness, and the conscience. Good or bad conscience. This is what we take with us. So if you want to have a smooth, passage after your death, just do what is necessary in order to have a good conscience. In other words, just do good. Do all your efforts to do good. Don't attach you too much to the material things that you will have to live. The guy who was bound to his money or his car and whatever after dying, he will stay close to the car but cannot run the car anymore because he has not the physical body anymore. The same for the money, and he sees the people of the succession taking the car, selling it, and he can cry, asking to stop, whatever. They will not even listen him. So this is just to give you a hint of what's happening. We just change of dimension. We go out of this 4 dimensions space time that we are in, and we go in different dimensions, which is the spiritual world. So when you are, for instance, using the material things just for the sake of doing good or evolution, if you are lean, if you do the things just what is necessary and avoiding all what is superfluous, if you are happy with little material things, then you are somehow already prepared for the passage. And this is all what you can see also. Kardec is saying at the beginning of this chapter, sometimes you see people, they are dying in a very, very painful and difficult situation. And some others are really peaceful, a peacefulness, dying, smiling or almost. Of course, we can understand that after the death, this situation, that this different situation will not invert and will not change drastically. So just think about, what do you need and what you don't need once you are in the spiritual life, and by reasoning you will find out the answer. Silvia also told about the religion. If you go with the religion belief, you have some religious people dying. Say, where is God? Why I'm not on the right side of God? All these things that are taught by the traditional churches, which are dogmatic and not based on observation, as Kardec did and as we spiritists are following. What we are saying here is the result of observation. You have hundreds and hundreds of communication of spirits which are telling us this is what happened with me when I died. And these are the reasons why it happened like that. And you have happy ones, you have others which are in a medium average situation, and you have others which are in a very bad and difficult situation. So that's how we make the link between both, what we should do and what we should not do, in order to have the smoothest passage back to the spiritual world. As simple as this.
Exactly. I think it's interesting that the whole thing about religious beliefs sometimes that accept the idea of eternal damnation, punishment without redemption. It's fear, it's just to impose fear and control, because it doesn't make any sense really if you accept the idea of God, to think that he would create beings that would, are going to be in eternal suffering. It's almost impossible to understand that when you talk about God's goodness, that is redemption. Even the worst of the worst will one day be redeemed, because we are God's children. And I think this is one of the things that we need to understand. And you don't need to have a religion. I think, sometimes there is this, in one of the parables that Jesus says, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, went into the kingdom of heaven, but those who do the will of my Father who is in heaven. I think it's so clear. It doesn't matter which religion you are, or even if you don't have any religion. There are people who don't believe in God or don't have a religion, but they have a life of kindness, of humanity. They help people. Sometimes they live a better, more Christian life than a lot of people who call themselves Christian and judge everyone that they are going to be dumb because they don't follow their kind of Christianity, the way they understand it. And I think, and I think it's basically in every other religion, we know that people sometimes interpret that if you kill a lot of people, you're going to receive special prizes when you go. And these people are going to be very surprised when they go back there, because that does not exist. You are not, you will not be getting any prizes for doing harm. But I think another thing as well that is important in this subject is that we are guided by our own conscience. It's not God that punishes, there are, we know there are very dark places, there are devilish places in the spiritual world, we know that. But the people who go there, the people who have the same level of feeling and understanding, so they go to certain places. But we need to, whatever good we do, it's always something that takes us to a different place. We are the architects of our future. God does not punish us. It's our own conscience who will claim we've done wrong. And in a way, it's almost like we punish ourselves. And, thinking about André Luiz in Orsulan, in the book, when there is a thing he says that when we die, we lose a physical body, we return to the spiritual world, we face the mirror of our conscience.
Yeah. That's
And that's who punishes us. It's not God, it's not God saying, oh, you're going to be punished, I'm going to send you, you're going to be burned eternally and there is no hope. It's not, it's our own conscience that will say you've done wrong and you have to do something better. But there is a quote, actually, I would like to say, I think it's from Teilhard de Chardin. Is that all right? Is that the way it's pronounced, Charles?
Teilhard de Chardin.
Teilhard de Chardin. Yeah. He said, we are not human beings living a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings living in a human experience. So what we really are, we are spirits that we are in the process of evolution, of development, that everything we learn in this life, we're going to take to another life, and we're evolving all the time. And eventually because we are going to be what we are. We are beings of light. We are created by God of love and light, and we are obscured now by our own lack of knowledge and maybe, the poor choices that we make. But eventually we're going to be angels of light, because that's what we are. And I think it's the whole process, that God gave us free will and gave us the opportunity, because we are the ones who do the work of learning ourselves. So there is no need to fear death, or there is no need for it's going to be. No, you are going to receive all the efforts that you put. But I think there is just one point, though, that I would like to make, because sometimes people get a bit confused. The fact that we as spiritists accept that life continues, that death, as we think, does not exist. It's only the end of the physical body that we're inhabiting. And then, we'll be released, we go into the spiritual world, and we'll be reborn again. But the fact that we accept this, it does not mean that we don't feel when someone that we love, a friend, a member of a family, dies. We have the same sentiment of loss, the sense of loss. It's inherent in all of us. We feel sad, we cry. And that's not wrong, to be able to feel and express that, the sense of loss, because we do that. It's important to think, because sometimes think, you believe life goes on, you never die, and then there is no need to feel the sadness of a loss. And I think we need to honor that and feel that. What we cannot do is to be desperate and ask the person to come back, because then would be selfishness. But to think of the person with, a level of sadness, and it's natural, and it's important for us to do that, because the whole process of feeling, because the person who's leaving is feeling as sad as we are. So I think, be accepting that life goes on does not mean that we don't need to fear to the sense of loss that we have, the longing for the person who's gone. We know we're going to meet them again. We know that. We have a peace that, we know all that, but it doesn't mean that we don't have that sadness in our heart for a little while. And I think, one of the things that the Egyptians used to do, which I think is being in their process of things, they used to have the process of mummification, which would last like 45 days, 75 days or something, that would take for the body to be prepared for completely. And during that time, they would sit together, they would talk, the family, the friends, they would come together, they would talk about the person who died, remember the things they did and everything. And then afterwards, it's finished. After that period, they would go on and live their lives. And I think it is so important for us to be able to do this as well. But, nowadays we don't really. I mean, I know the Irish have the wake, they drink a lot of whiskey. But in a way, it's good, because, it's a time that you talk, be with friends and a family, and you can talk about the person. It helps us, I think, to relieve the sadness. What do you think, Charles?
Yes, and the opposite is also true. The people who are inconsolable and thinking without stopping to the beloved one who went, they somehow keep them. They somehow, it makes his passage, his detachment from the physical body more difficult than taking longer.
Yes,
That's also a fact.
exactly. Yes, that's what, it's important to be able to detach. I mean, feel the sadness, but also, be able to let the person go. Yeah, that's much harder to go because we don't think that the person dying, because we think, oh, death, it's all gone, it's finished, but it's not, isn't it? Because we'll be alive, as you said, we keep our memories, and we, the person going feels as much sadness as we do, who stay behind, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I think, to understand, when we travel, when we go somewhere and we say goodbye to a family, we feel that sense, don't we? I mean, we know you're coming
Exactly.
back and everything. So it's the same in the process of returning to our home in the spiritual world. Yeah.
When we are looking to it from the spiritualist point of view, spiritualist paradigm, clearly, I mean, today we are imprisoned in our physical body, and the death is just to get free from this prison,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay, and go back to where we came from, to return where we came from. So when somebody is dying, we are used to make everything black and people crying and blah blah and so on. No, we should be happy for the one who has finished his mission or her mission, and that is going back home to the real world. And even so, going back to the real world, still can come and see and help, and by intuition or during our sleep. Every night when we sleep, we go also temporarily to the spiritual world. We just don't remember when we wake up, except when we remember about our dreams, and some dreams are absolutely real. In particular, this is when we dream from about someone that we knew, a beloved one who was there. We think this is just illusion and hallucination, whatever. No, it is not. It is when we sleep, our soul frees from the body temporarily. And the difference between sleep and death is, instead of being temporarily and coming back when you wake up, you just stay there and you come back only when you reincarnate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because every night we go through that process, isn't it? And we are
Sorry,
so
I was
fearful.
off. Yeah, my
But
internet is
we
not good.
don't need.
It's not my internet's not good as well today, so I'm dropping out. Yeah. So if I understood right, you're saying every night we experience the process of dying. Can you listen? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah. And let me see if I can open here because what is it?
Okay, so are you there? Are
Yeah,
you there? I cannot hear sometimes.
I'm trying to go here. But anyway, um, we needed to understand how is this process. That's why we invite everyone to study the spiritual codification. Um, if we say, "Oh, I'm gonna die," I'm okay with that, no problem. But at the moment when you start to understand how it works. It is not a easy process, but it is a process in which you already know what's going on. And I'm saying this is not easy process because we're saying, oh, I'm gonna leave my friends, I'm gonna leave my material things, I'm gonna leave all these, my family, my daughter, my wife. We always ask about it. That's not an easy process, but reading the codification, the spiritism codification, understand the spiritism codification, this will gonna make an easy process for you, because you will start to understand how it works, what's the purpose, and we will help you along the process. And what more I have to say?
I think one of the things that, listening to what you're saying, Stephen, is the fact that, you're talking about the Spiritist codification, the Spiritist doctrine, that, the teachings, Spiritist teaching, as they were given by the spirits. The spirits of those who have lived on earth and died, and have died, and they have progressed, and they have developed, and they have, now have become spirits of light, and they are giving us all these teachings. And, we know as well that there are spirits that are not from our planet. They are living more evolved planets, and they bring their teaching to them. So the very nature of what we accept, the teachings that were given by spirits of those who have died. So if this is not a sense of consolation, I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
what it is, yeah. Just read here what the Spirit said in the book Heaven and Hell, I think 4, chapter 2, item 4. In order to free ourselves from the fear of death, we must be able to look at it from the right point of view. See? From the right point of view. That is to say, we must have penetrated the spiritual world in thought. We must have formed to ourselves an idea of that world as an exact as it can be obtained at the present time. A power of discernment, the notion on the part of the incarnate spirit, a certain amount of intellectual and moral development, a certain aptitude for freeing himself from materially. Among those who are not sufficiently advanced for the acquisition of this knowledge, the physical life takes precedence over the spiritual life. So, look at for the right point of view. But definitely, I'm more afraid of reincarnate than die. That's you're in a mood, my friend.
For those who
Charles, you're in
can
a mood.
sorry.
Can I ask you a question, Stephen?
Yeah.
Are you afraid to die?
No.
And you, Silvia?
I am not afraid of death, no, but I would not like to die alone.
I am not afraid to die, but I'm afraid of the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, so I'm not afraid of that because I have read
Yeah.
so much about. But I wouldn't like to be, like die and nobody knows that I died. That I wouldn't like that. But maybe because I live by myself. But no, I because you see, I am a regression and past life therapist, so I've seen many of my lives, many lives that I've lived. And I have worked with many people, and I've seen the process of their death, and this is different, and the moment of death actually is extremely important for us. It is a big thing, really. And I have found that sometimes working with people, actually, I have worked with people that they only worked on their funeral and the last minutes of their lives. They wanted to, things to be different. So I'm not afraid of that. And I know that, we go back and it's fine, hopefully. But, I think the one thing, we are never alone. We always have someone that helps us, that loves us, that will be waiting for us. And the only thing we need to do is to be open to see them, to love them. I think, if those who've seen the film or read the book, André Luiz Nosso, he's in the spiritual world and he's moving around, he's in a very sort of difficult, confused state. To the moment I said, oh, please, God, help me. And then he saw, because the help was with him all the time. But he wasn't seeing it. From the moment that said, please, God, help me, he felt the hand reaching out to get him. So the thing is to be open, as we hear, as in life, because it doesn't change. We don't change. The process that we go into the spiritual world, we die, we left a physical body behind, does not change who we are. We are going to be the same persons there. So I think maybe, and I think Charles mentioned something today about thinking, leaving behind and everything and being detached from these things. And like here, when now we should be open to grace, to the divine, I mean, you don't need to have specifically religion as such, but to be open that there's something superior to us, that we have an eternal soul, that, there's something of the divine within each and every one of us, and, some light. And we need to be open to this process, because this is what will help us open up to reach out when we're in the spiritual world and to actually see the help that is there waiting for us. Even now, even while we're here, if we pray or if we ask God's help, or we will receive it. Jesus said, knock and it will be open. Ask and it will be given you. So we need to start this process of opening our hearts up to the divine, to goodness, even while we're here. And it'll be the same, because if we are a good person here, we're going to continue being a good person. And if you're not a good person, we will continue being a bad person in the spiritual world until we live enough lifetimes to learn the lessons. Because I think that's one of the wonderful things about reincarnation. It's not a punishment, but it's an opportunity that we have to readdress wrongs. So we'll be put in positions of difficulty that we have created for others, so we can learn the lesson. So even reincarnation is not a need to fear, because it's all a process of learning and evolution and coming closer to who we are, angels of light, and, in the presence of God, I think. So, sorry, going into philosophy now.
And you, Charles, are you afraid of dying?
Thank you for the question. No, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid. I know that I have a lot of imperfections. I know that this will wait a little bit. We'll have an influence on that period. But okay, let's go. Let's take it. Let's go and grab whatever difficulty may come. Okay, let's go. I think it's going. It's a natural process, so we have to go through. We went already several times through it, and I'm still here. I died already. I don't know, 10, 100 times, and I'm still here alive. So
a lot more than that.
let's go.
A little bit more.
So what?
From the million of years that we've been, our spirit has been created.
Exactly. If you are afraid, it's worse. Because when you are afraid, when you fear, you lose your mean to face the situation. So we have really to of course, to leave spouse, children, everything. Or we are never ready. We are never fully ready. A lot of things that we still want to do, and instead of okay, so then okay, no, I went. So just let go and try to help from the spiritual side as much as you can, and that's it.
But I think one thing as well, Charles, I don't know if you agree, Stevan. I think the fear will create things that it might not be there. Our fear may create, monsters or
your head is spinning.
Yes, because our thoughts are so powerful. It's pure energy, and in our fear, we may create what we fear. It doesn't exist, but in our own imagination. So, don't fear. Just think that everything is good, peaceful. Friends will be there waiting.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, let's go to our announcements. We don't have any questions. Lou VM is with us. Thank you, Lou. And let's see if we have questions. No. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So next Wednesday, the topic is why does evil still exist in this world? Why does evil still exist in this world? So April 17th, 9 p.m. Ireland, UK time, 10 p.m. France time, 4 p.m. in the US, and 10 p.m. in France. The Spiritism Max 2024 is still accepting subscriptions. So enroll yourself. It's on the 29th and 30th of June 2024. Series of Carmine from Arion is still going. Please enjoy it. Don't forget the Spiritism Magazine and listen Kardec Radio. This is it, my friends. I want you to say thank you very much for your talk. Please don't die. We still have a lot of shows to do it. Okay?
Not just yet.
Just not yet. No. Hold on. Hold your horse a little bit.
In French, we say des indispensables, il y en a plein le cimetière. Indispensable people, there are full of them in the cemeteries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So if I die tomorrow, okay, like Chico Xavier, I like this picture with a sign, oh, bye-bye.
Yeah.
My mission is finished, so now I let it up to you.
Silvia, what's the name? What's the name? They say Queen, when the Queen passed away, they said Charles and like change everything, like.
No, it's the king. The Queen is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah.
Because one passed to another. Yeah.
And it is like she was wonderful, brilliant, but at the moment now you have the king. That's it.
She was a wonderful queen. I, for one, miss her. things change since she's gone, you know. She
Yeah.
made a big difference, but you know, we have to live on because she also deserved to have peace. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
after 70 years of being working really hard for others, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
For
and
sure.
the day will come, of course, that we will go, and that's fine. Be ready.
I will.
Anyway, have a nice holiday.
Uh, yeah, I'll be on holiday, so Charles and Silvia, probably Munir will be here with you all. So I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, my
much.
friends.
All
And
the
God
best.
bless everyone.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Peace.